the good slave owner argument is that you can have a great slave owner, right? A very nice individual. He was nice to his slaves. He didn't go down and rape the women. He was very loyal to his wife. Blase, blase. But the very by participating in that institution of slavery, he is evil. Right. The institution itself is evil. That's right. You understand what I'm saying? There's plenty of good things that man could do. He could have very well been a great person. But he's participating in a demonic institution. Because in order for that institution to exist, you have to hold a human being as property. That's what I'm relating to the church. There are plenty of good things that come out of the church, but the institution of it, the very core of it, is evil. Because you got people believing in a mystery. And you got women, majority black women, older black women, giving their money away to some guy every week. For what? The building fund. How long are you going to build the building? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. For sure, for sure, for sure.
What does the building have to do with the concept of what you're doing?
Right.
But it's so ingrained in the community because the church is the relief. Right? Throughout our history, if we didn't have the church, we would not have survived slavery.
That's true. It was our outlet to congregate.
It was everything.
To communicate, to, I mean, pretty much our whole basis of really getting together.
Our social aspect, everything social for us was based off the church. And it was our hope and way of getting through that.
Right.
But it was false.
Right.
In my opinion. But you can't tell older black people that.
So when you say it was false, but it got us through.
I'm saying that they got you believing in a mystery God. And then But that hope, when you're a slave, that hope is all you had. Hope is a powerful thing. Right?
That's right. It's the base of survival.
Yeah, moving. Right. Hope is a power that can move a lot of things because you're thinking of something that can come into fruition. You're actually thinking something into existence. Right. Or changing your situation. I know it could be better. Right? But if you didn't have a church, you might not have had the ability mentally as a human being that is reduced to less than. If you don't have something that tells you there's something better.
So you know what? That point of being reduced to something less than. Like that being the precursor to the church. Because like a lot of times when we think about our history as a people, we go as far as slavery. And we don't really go beyond that.
Right, that's my point.
So it's like we're a creature that was created.
If you go beyond slavery, we didn't have the churches. We worshipped all day, but we didn't have a church. You understand what I'm saying? Like that don't make sense to me. If you that's what I mean. If you go back and do your history, it's not hidden. It's obvious. We did not have the Catholic or the Christian religion until somebody brought it. That's so foreign to your people in terms of, if you just look at time, how long you as a people have been Christian and how long you was just in tune with nature and didn't need a specific name to whatever it was. Like that don't make sense. For the history of time, everything is relied on this one white man that lived supposedly 33 years. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous to me. It's like, it's almost laughable that somebody pulled that off. That the Roman Empire folded into the Catholic Church and pulled that off. Worldwide. For eternity. That has to be the greatest, like, trick ever. I'm forcing you, you have to? The whole world?
Right. But then it was also, but when you look at how imperialism and colonization played its role, they had to, because they knew that people were, like you said, of spiritual mindset.
Right.
They were spiritual beings. So they just manipulated their bare essence by putting religion around their spirituality. It was almost like, it's almost like commercializing the art.
But even further, not even
she
not
said
even for
commercializing the art.
Yeah, not even for the commercialization, for the rule structure.
Right.
The dogma.
Right, for the rule structure, period. If I smack you, you don't. It's not right for you to smack me back. Right. Turn the other cheek. Like I get the whole that part of it. makes sense. If I'm trying to control this man, boom, 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 I take him to the islands, I break him down, he can't be, we get that part, right? The part I'm talking about is the reverse part. Why can't you see that this was done to you and this is foreign to you? This ain't really you. So why do you still, why is it so hard for you to shed that thing? Like, we've shed so much other stuff, right? Images, how we perceive ourselves, names. A lot of things, we get that. We will not. It is the hardest thing for somebody to have that real conversation about why every Sunday they go to church.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the point that you stated all the way in the beginning. It was our hope. It's that hope. Cats don't want to let go of that hope. Like, it's still in it. It's still like almost like a DNA. It's like a trait. That hope is still. It's actually, as time is now showing us, by our youth becoming less spiritual beings, we actually are losing a piece of that hope. Like, you'll see more hopelessness running around, more despair now.
Well, I think,
I think they're less religious. I don't know if they're less spiritual.
But even religious,
yeah.
But like, religious is all, it's relative what you're religious in. Like in Islam, they say, you know, it's not a religion, it's a way of life.
Right.
You know, so everyone has a way of life or how they do things.
In that case, I don't. In that point, if you use that definition, which I agree with, is a certain definition. To me, religion is just a set of practices.
Right.
Right. It's a set of things that you do, say, rituals that you go through to praise your Creator.
Now,
you feel that is the Creator.
word religion comes. It's a Latin word, right? And it's composed of two words. Re, we're all familiar with, means back again.
Right.
It means to do over, rethink, replan.
Right.
And then the second word, I can never pronounce it right, but it means to bind or fasten. So I take religion as a set of traditions or rituals meant to bind you back to who you are originally, right? Now, as African Americans, our origin, in our mind, is slavery. So if that's your origin, that's who you're going to be. Your religious practices, your way of life, will born out the fact that you're a slave, because that's your origin as a slave. But when you look at our rich culture, our vast culture, like you said earlier, it goes back thousands of years before we were brought over here in chains and the whole institution of slavery took place on this land. Religion itself, you know, back to another point you made earlier, in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's how it's being used. The images, just the different, the cultural. You got us worshiping a group of people that's not us.
That's like saying any government system, in and of itself, in the idea of it, works. Capitalism, socialism, they all work if everybody's righteous. Communism works if everybody's righteous, right? If there's a majority, if there's a group of people that's funneling down the money to the majority, right? If people wasn't who they are and greedy and power hungry and all this type of stuff, it would work. Capitalism would really work if everybody wasn't super power hungry, right? But this is reality. If you live in that, somebody is going to say, I want it all. Or I want the majority. I want the biggest cut. And I want to make sure nobody else, I control it. Whatever. That's just the nature of certain men. Right? We know that exists. So that's our reality. My point is that we could talk about the utopia of every religion. I'm talking about specifically the history of the Catholic Church. Specifically. Throughout history, how you've killed and maimed and set out and planned and plotted and did whatever you had to do to make sure that you dominated whatever area. And if you're not down, it's lay down and get, you know, what was Bean's movie? Get Down or Lay Down. It's get down or lay down. Or historically, you either get down or lay down. Almost to the point where we even know that you're not really what it is, but we just want your area to be that so that we can control it, and this is the law. We don't care. You know, we know you sneak in the back and still practice whatever religion you was, right?
But up front and center.
But up front, that's how much power we got. That you got to front to me that you not you.
Ooh. Bombs.